But that is not what you're saying. What you're rather saying is, I'm assuming, here I can only guess. To me, it seems like maybe you're not prepared to debate on the particular topic. Maybe you're not ashamed. You are ashamed. Maybe you can't defend the Islamic Allah. And therefore, now you're trying to extend our conversation even before we come to the subject that we thought we were going to discuss by talking about all sorts of other things like canon and so on. That's my perception. I could be entirely wrong. Just prove me wrong, Shabir. I really was expecting something much better from you.
Very easy, Arul. You see, it actually has just shown that you are not listening carefully.
Okay.
Because when I started, I said, look, Arul, you have come and you have changed the goalposts. In normal circumstances, anybody who does that ought to be told, look, go away, no discussion. I didn't do that. I was considerate to you. Number two, I also said to you, look, if we were going to talk about that, now you want to talk about oaths when you are asking the brother there. And I said, well, if that's the case, okay, we'll go with that. No
Torah
problem.
versus
One
Sharia.
second. No, we'll go with that because you had now, the word Torah had just disappeared when you started. I am the one who introduced it because that is what we had agreed to have a conversation about, Torah and Quran. Now, I'm still saying, look, no problem, I'll go ahead with it. But what you have missed totally, you give me a verse, and I said to you, I don't agree with it. How do we proceed?
What do you mean don't agree? Do you
Exactly.
mean I don't agree that that verse doesn't exist in the Bible? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I am saying to you, Arul.
You don't agree that that should be in the Bible?
You allow me to speak? Arul, you see, my method is different. And I'm sure you will have seen the videos. I look at the evidence and then we assess the evidence, okay? You gave a verse from the Quran and you said it was the polar opposite to what the Bible says. And I said to you, okay, give me an example, and you are going to Samuel, okay? Now, I am saying to you, look, don't I, and you tell me if I'm wrong in the way I'm thinking, don't I have the right to ask you, wait a minute, Arul, I can see as a Christian you are going to Samuel, but I am thinking, is that part of the Torah or is it not part of the Torah? If it is part of the Torah, fine. If it is not, problem. But if then you are going to insist on reading it, I can easily conclude that this has nothing to do with the Creator.
In other words,
how do we proceed?
In other words, your excuse now is...
No, I don't have an excuse.
Let me finish now. Your excuse now is, if I pull out verses from the Bible to demonstrate that Yahweh of the Bible clearly is polar opposite to the Islamic Allah, your excuse is going to be, I don't trust in this Bible. That's your excuse.
Are you asking or are you telling?
I'm telling you. That's what
I'm telling you, you are wrong.
You're saying.
You are wrong.
To prove it, I'd be happy to know I'm wrong. Prove to me why precisely you don't even want me to read the portion of scriptures I wanted to read.
Excellent. You see, I never even stopped you from reading them. What I did say, I preempted you and I said, look, the verses you are going to read, okay, don't I have a right to establish whether they are from the source that you claim? That's all I was asking. Now, one second, Arul. I know you are.
They are from the Bible.
One second.
If that is what you mean, that is from the Bible.
You told me you wouldn't interject. You would not interject.
No, Arul, you're making points which are not advancing anything here.
Arul, I am only saying to you that at this point in time, you are saying you are confused.
No.
One second.
I know I'm not confused, but you seem to make points which are thoroughly confusing
to you.
And therefore, there is some problem somewhere. That's what I'm trying to imply here.
There is a big problem, but I tell you what, I think that the understanding here is at cross purposes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow you to proceed.
Thanks. Good, thank you. So Shabir, by this time, I think many people might have forgotten what I was trying to say earlier. Quran.
No, you were saying from
Quran,
66.
I read 66
you
verse
read about him releasing people from the oath.
66 verse 2. Islamic Allah thinks people going against their oaths could lawfully happen, and in this particular case, it's not even lawfully happening through the motivation of the people involved, but rather of Islamic Allah himself. Islamic Allah is introducing that lawful deviation, lawful absolution. In contrast, I'm going to read to you a passage from scriptures, the Bible, 2 Samuel chapter 21 verses 1 to 14. The first few are the important bits, the first few verses. The rest are just so you get a historical context right. Now there was a famine in the days of David for 3 years, year after year. And David, King David, inquired of the Lord, of Yahweh. And the Lord, Yahweh, answered, "It is because of Saul, King Saul, and his bloodthirsty house, because he killed the Gibeonites." Because he killed the Gibeonites. And the context of this essentially is that if you read Joshua 9, chapter 9, verse 1 to 7, let me give you a brief outline of the history there. Gibeonites are part of Canaanites. When Israel had to march into Canaan, they had to wipe out all Canaanites. Now the moral aspect of that, I'm willing to have a debate on that on some other occasion. Right now, the point is, Israel were asked to do a particular thing, remove them from that land. But what ended up happening, Gibeonites, which is one particular group there, they had deceived Joshua. They deceived by saying, "Oh, we're not really from here, we are foreigners, we are just here briefly, we are foreigners." So Joshua was misled to think that Gibeonites weren't Canaanites and therefore weren't part of the people group he was supposed to eliminate from the land. That was the context. In that context, Joshua was willing to make a covenant with the Gibeonites. Without verifying with God, he made a covenant, and that covenant was, "You're not part of the people who I was supposed to wipe out. You are here, you are saying you're foreigners, fair enough. I would leave you behind. I would leave you behind alive, and you can live under our protection." That was the oath. Later on, he got to know that Gibeonites were really from Canaan. Later on, Joshua got to know, not long after that, he got to know they were really Canaanites, at which point now he had no way to trace back his oath, the covenant, and therefore all that he could say was, "I gave you a word. I know you deceived me. Even though you deceived me, I have no way to go against my oath." In other words, Yahweh does not allow absolution. That was what happened in the case of during the time of Joshua. Fast forward, come to King David's time. What is happening here? King David got to know there was famine for 3 years, and the reason for the famine was the people to whom a covenant was given by Israel, the Gibeonites, were killed. Some of them were killed by King Saul's house. Enemies, wicked people, all those things. But a covenant was given, and because a covenant was given, here, when the covenant was breached, Yahweh says, "I'm going to punish Israel." Keeping a covenant is very important for me. In other words, simple point, Yahweh wants people to keep their word at all times, no matter the circumstance. Islamic Allah, willy-nilly, for simple things in life, just to have one more lady here, one more lady there, thinks you can be absolved from your oaths. And this is a very, very scary thing to me. When you get married to someone, I'm assuming Islamic Allah would want you to keep the oath. But it seems like that is not the case. That is my challenge. Polar opposite. How could these two at the same time be God? Obviously they can't be, is my challenge. Shabir, I'd invite a legitimate way, a reasonable way from you to respond in saying, how can you resolve the polar opposite attributes of the true God of the Bible versus the Islamic Allah of the Quran?
In response, because you are going quite lengthy, I think we should reduce it a bit so we can have an opportunity to have a conversation, okay? But in summation, you are saying that the whole of the Bible tells you very clearly you must not go against your oaths. Whereas according to you in Surah 66, according to your wording, willy-nilly, it doesn't say that, but since you use the word willy-nilly, and you use the example of marriage, yeah? All the while you are speaking, I'm thinking to myself, I thought Brother Arul would logically apply himself to the conversation. And hopefully you will do that, yeah? But I don't look at it that way. You see, you have taken one verse, yeah? And it is like, that's all Islam says. It doesn't. There are many instances, yeah, as Muslims, and I'm sure you will be aware, where we are told, okay, we must not lie, we must not cheat, yeah? You can Google it, you don't need any. You must not cheat, you must not do this. Be just, even against your own self. Now, that's Surah 4, 135. I'm asking you this, Arul, because I did say when we started, apply reason in so many words, yeah? When it says, I have to be just against myself, yeah, and I have an oath to do something with someone, and I willy-nilly, according to you, break it, am I being just against myself, or am I being unjust against myself? I'll ask you to think about that, number one. Number two, you see, this conversation that you have brought, in a nutshell, okay, we can end between the polar opposite of the Bible creator and the Quran creator. My view is the creator is one, and everything that the creator does is consistent. If there is inconsistencies between what is contained in the Bible and in the Quran, then I can confidently assert that the Quran, as in Surah 5 verse 48, tells us very clearly that it is the one that oversees everything that had come prior. Then if there is any misunderstanding in here, it is the misunderstanding that we need to remove. Now, if I were to say to you, right, listen, Arul, yeah, your reasoning is that everything that the Bible contains is all about justice, all about truth, all about...
Sorry, I'm listening. I'm listening.
No, I don't speak to people who are doing two things at the same time.
No, I'm listening. Shabir, you must...
Are you
listen.
sure?
I am
okay,
listening.
I'll carry on then. Yeah? You see,
I'm
because...
taking notes as you're
Not a
speaking,
problem.
so, yeah.
You see, because I know that as a Christian, from Genesis to Revelation, you must accept everything. Okay? Yeah. So, when it tells you that you must keep your oaths no matter what, yeah, in your conversation, I think it was with Shamsi, yeah, you made it very clear that look, you are told to deceive, yeah, because you referred to Surah 3, okay? This goes to the heart of what you are saying, because I'm not only talking about oaths, yeah? Let's, like I said to you, let's cut the chase. Let's look at what one basis can demolish the whole edifice, okay? So I would say to you, look, if I was looking at the Bible, okay, and you tell me that you must keep your oaths no matter what, yeah, I would suggest to you that, look, as human beings, the Creator gives us the guidance, and the guidance is for our benefit, not for the benefit of the Creator, unless you believe that God can come down as a man. That's a different issue, okay? So I would ask you, Arul, if I were to tell you that, look, the agreement or the oath, yeah, especially in the context of Surah 66 that you brought up, and you are aware of it because of what had happened between the Prophet and the wives, okay? In certain circumstances, if me and you have an agreement and you breach the agreement, am I entitled to nullify it?
Is that a rhetoric question?
No, I'm asking you.
So now, is it my chance?
No. And now you see, I said a conversation, and in a conversation, like when you asked me a question, I answered and then I proceeded. Yeah, and you proceeded also. One second, Arul.
Please
I'm
you
saying,
go on.
No. I told you we'll have a conversation. So I'm asking you now, yeah, that if me and you have an agreement, okay, and you break that agreement, am I entitled to also break it?
I'm not sure if that's relevant.
I thought you would say that. So let me go forward.
Relevant.
Okay, so what is happening here is this. If I were to say, look, according to my understanding of the Bible, okay, the Creator, according to the Bible, In fact, the contents are replete with the Creator Himself being quite deceptive. Yeah, Him deceiving. Forget about human beings. Now, I would ask you that, look, I've given you the explanation about the verse you brought up. The 2 Samuel one, I'm saying to you, look, if I were to kindly ask you to go to the book of Ezekiel, chapter 14, verse 9. If you can go to that and let's just read it so that we know where we are. If you can just please. Yeah? I'll hold it for you if you want.
I'm assuming somewhere down the line you're going to reconcile the attributes that we just spoke about.
Oh,
somewhere
yes,
down
yes, yes.
Ezekiel
14:9.
Ezekiel 14:9.
Yeah.
And if the prophet is induced to speak anything, I, the Lord, have induced that prophet, and I will stretch out my hand against him and destroy him from among my people Israel.
Okay. When it says, I have induced, what does the word mean?
So sorry, Shabir.
Oh, no.
I'm planning to have a Shabir. I'm not here for a Q&A. I'm not here for an interrogation. I'm here for a discussion. I have raised a challenge. I'm going to give you time for you to make your points.
I made it.
Have you made that? In which case I can go back. I can go back.
One second, Arul.
Yeah.
I told you I am not going to have. 1 second, Arul. At the start, I made it very clear. In all honesty, Arul, this conversation I'm only allowing. Yeah, and I'll tell you. I am saying to you that when the verse is telling you something, okay, I am suggesting to you that that particular verse is very clear. It is talking about the Creator deceiving people. Very clear. The Creator is saying, 1 second, the Creator is saying, I deceive. Now, what I said to you is, look, you can do that as much as you want. The point is, I'll read it for you, okay?
Now, yeah,
Brother, can I just,
by all means, read it and
can
make
you just
your
hold this?
points.
Thank you. Yeah?
Yeah, by all means, you can read and make your points, and then I'll jump in with my response.
No. I would expect you. I would expect you to respond to my question like I did to yours.
I'll come back with my response.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Excellent. That is. Now, I have made it very clear.
Actually, you might want to come here. Just
sorry. Yeah. Can you see me? Am I handsome enough?
We're fine.
Okay then. Right. Okay.
Within the limitations of 10.
Right. 14, verse 9. Yeah? It says, I am Jehovah, and when the prophet is inveigled so that he speaks a word, I, Jehovah, have inveigled that prophet. What does the word invade mean? Can we Google it, please?
No.
The word
Shabir,
invade.
Shabir.
One second. Arul, look. I think what you need to understand, in a conversation, Arul, you have your way of doing things. Let me have mine. Don't impose on me. All I am saying to you is, look, the whole basis, and I did say that, the whole edifice can be demolished if I can prove to you, using only one verse, that the Creator, according to the Bible, deceives. And if that, one second, if that is the case, then anything you subsequently say has to be justified in the context.
I'm talking about keeping oaths.
Let me finish.
Keeping oaths.
Let me finish. Arul,
Shabir,
let me finish.
talk about
Have you found it?
keeping
What does it say?
Persuade someone to do something by means of
what?
deception or
Shabir.
Now, whoa, don't, calm down, Arul. Look, I am saying to you, the word is very clear that this is what, according to Ezekiel 14:9, according to the Bible, God personally deceives. Now, in one of the videos, you made it very clear to whoever you're speaking to that when they refer to Jeremiah, it wasn't God directly deceiving. Well, this particular...
I'm willing to have a long conversation with you about deception.
Arul,
I'm willing to have that.
Right.
But today, not that.
Arul,
we're talking about keeping oaths.
Arul, you are...
Simple.
Arul, no.
Sticking to your word.
Listen. You said, you said to me, you've come with an agenda of what the discussion should be. I said to you, look, are we going to include the whole of the Bible? Yes, we are going to include it. Now, how I'm making the point, and I made it clear to you, that look, when it comes to the ideas of deception, breaking of oaths, etc.,
They're not the same.
One second. If I can finish, Arul. For you to use the Bible is virtual suicide, respectfully. Now, why I'm saying that, I'm using this verse, as I told you, you see, when you talk about oaths, yeah, these are legal elements, okay? I will give you an example, and I want you to follow this through, yeah? The rabbis, okay, collectively established 613 commandments, okay? 248 were positive, 365 negative. Out of that, number N294, it says, according to their understanding of the Torah, very clearly they say that if a person commits a sin under duress, they are not to be punished. That they have gleaned from the Bible. The question I would ask is, if their understanding of the Torah is that if you commit a sin under duress, it is not to be considered a sin. If you are forced to lie, according to them, you don't get punished. Now, I'm saying to you, if you use the Bible to try and justify how just, for want of a better word, the Creator is, then you are committing virtual suicide. Now, I'm asking you, according to Ezekiel 14:9, you talk about oaths. I'm suggesting to you that the very being that allegedly is telling you to keep your oaths is himself, I'm using the word himself, telling you that he deceives people. Now, I'm asking you, Arul, a simple question. According to Ezekiel 49, if you agree with me that yes, the Creator is saying he deceives, then anything else that he says has to be taken with a pinch of salt. Do you agree?
Shabir, is it my turn now?
Your turn.
Good, thank you. Shabir, I thank you very much that in the 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes of your response, I do not see, apart from the last half a minute or so, I don't actually see a proper response to the point that I raised, which is keeping oaths. Duress is the only explanation I saw there, nothing else. And you, of course, because you couldn't answer the question I am raising, you're going all over the place, bringing in the idea of deception. I'm willing, by the way, I'm very, very willing. I had that with Shamsi the other day. I'm willing to have a debate with you, Shabir, on deception, Islamic Allah versus Yahweh. Very, very open. Let's do that maybe next time you're here. Let's try and do that. But that is not the point of conversation here. Muhammad with his wives, no duress involved. Even if you think duress is an excuse, here we're talking about his wives, no duress involved. The point was about a simple oath, and Muhammad, Allah, I'm assuming you would think, Allah doesn't go through duress from anyone, and therefore I'd expect him to uphold a superior moral quality, which he doesn't seem to. He legally sanctions absolution from oaths, which is something which Yahweh does not do, even if it means a few people are going to die. Gibeonites, the point I raised, the point was Gibeonites, Canaanites were supposed not to be touched purely because an oath was given. Now let me go back to a few points you raised. Thankfully, Shabir, quite early in the conversation, thankfully, you said we could end the conversation here, because you said obviously Islamic Allah is different from the Bible.
I didn't say
I'm
interjecting. No, I'm sorry. I'm interjecting.
Shabir,
No.
Shabir.
No, Arul,
Okay,
I will end this
let's
conversation now. Do not put words into my mouth which I have not said. You did that with those two brothers. I noticed. One second, Arul. Yeah,
viewers would notice again, Shabir.
One second.
The point you made.
Look, the viewers, I appreciate and I respect the viewers, whoever they may be. But what you are doing is being very conniving, and that is not very Christian-like. Okay? Let me say,
Shabir,
one second,
you are not
Arul,
my
1
judge
second.
here. Let's get back to my
Nor are you
turn.
my judge. Let me say what I want
And
to say.
I never judged you. I
I'm
let you
interjecting.
make your point when you were making
Arul,
points.
listen. I said to you at the start, I want a decent conversation. You are making too many snide remarks, and I am aware of them. 1 second, let me finish.
Shabir.
Let me finish, Arul. I don't come here to have these kinds of banter. I come here to have a reasonable conversation. Now, you must understand something you seem to not be able to understand. If I have given my response,
Yep.
one second, no. When I have given my response, it is entirely your decision to say whether I answered it or not. However, after I have given my response, I asked a question. That is what you should respond to first before you go on to your other points.
That is what you
now,
are dictating. That
No,
is
no,
not
no.
true.
It's only reasonable.
Shabir, I let you speak. Can I speak now? It's my turn. You just seem to be offended.
No, I'm not offended.
So-
I just think you are being very conniving.
Thank you. Let everyone
I'm
judge.
sure.
Let people judge, and let an overall
I'm
God
not-
judges overall.
Are you doing
Shabir,
this? Are you doing this for the people or for us to
Shabir,
understand?
Shabir,
Come on.
why did you bring the cameras?
Hey?
Why did you bring the cameras?
Why did you wait for the cameras?
Because I want people to listen.
I
You don't
do,
seem
but
to want to
I
do that
do,
for
but
some
in
reason.
a,
I don't know why.
but in a reasonable way, not
Shabir,
like
Shabir,
this.
let's not do these. We don't. I mean,
Right? Can you just go ahead?
so
Go
anyway,
ahead.
all the deception.
Don't worry
showing
about
up
us. Worry about you.
No, that's
Carry
fine.
on.
So, you somewhere in your response, you essentially said we could end the conversation here, and you said if the Quran goes against the Bible, which seems to be the case here, Islamic Allah legally sanctions absolution from oath, and here in the Bible, Yahweh thinks even in the worst of your situations, you still need to keep your oath. That seems to be the polar opposite difference. And you suggested when we encounter such a difference, the only recourse you would have is to suggest that the Quran is the one which supersedes. You said the biblical revelation has been superseded by the Quran according to the Quran. I think you mentioned Surah chapter 5, I think. That is what you said. I didn't put words into your mouth. You can check out your recording. That was your explanation. I'd like to thank you at least for saying that you haven't got any other valid explanation for the fact that there is polar opposite characteristic between the Islamic Allah and Yahweh clearly showing up there. You then also went on to make a remark about the Quran talking about us having to be just and so on and good and so on. You made that at the start. My problem is this. If a person makes 10 truthful statements and 2 untruthful statements, by simple convention of language and practice, we'd call him a liar,
Okay.
not a truthful man.
Okay.
The moment you have one immoral attribute, and in this case that being absolution of oaths, i.e. not having to keep your word, if that is what is coming from Islamic Allah, we could go through all other attributes a bit later. The moment we see this, we already see an immoral Islamic Allah who can't be reconciled with the Yahweh of the Bible. You also said Islamic Allah might have suggested this. I don't think you made this point quite in this way, but you were talking about whatever Islamic Allah said was for our benefit, not for his benefit, not for the benefit of the Creator and so on. Absolutely, that is not the point here. I'm not asking who benefits from what. All that I'm asking is, what is the characteristic of Islamic Allah versus the characteristic of Yahweh? Islamic Allah seems to be quite casual with, even for simple things about this lady and that lady, even for simple things like that, he seems to be quite all right with people not keeping their word.
I'm sorry,
and
Arul,
I'm saying
Arul.
Yahweh does not allow that to happen.
Okay, no problem.
In other words,
one second, Arul.
I'll come.
You are taking too much time.
But making sensible
restrict it.
comments
Not at all. They are illogical.
Islamic Allah
Can we just
is
restrict
polar
it?
opposite to Yahweh.
Okay.
You haven't given a reasonable explanation as to why this is the case.
Can I
could suggest, if you just
no,
give
no,
me
no,
one moment,
no.
I could
Arul,
suggest
come on.
why
Be
this
fair,
is the
be
case.
fair.
1 minute.
No,
and
no,
you
no, no. It's my.
I could suggest why this is the case, and the suggestion that I have
Go on.
is the God of the Bible, with all his signs and wonders, is the only true God
Okay.
who cares about morality.
Yeah.
Islamic Allah, on the other hand, doesn't seem to have a proper standard of morality.
Yeah,
In
okay.
this particular
Okay,
case,
fine.
not caring to
Right.
stick to his word.
Okay.
Therefore, I earnestly invite you to come to the one who has a superior
Okay.
moral standard, Yahweh.
Excellent.
Islamic
Yeah.
Allah would not even keep his word in regards to you going to
Okay.
heaven. Forget about him.
Right.
Come back
Excellent.
to Jesus.
Okay. Now you see, Arul, you made so many points, but the ones that I would really like to respond to are the ones that are appropriate to the conversation. I said to you very clearly, my coat is getting heavy.
Whose is this?
Right, it's ours. Right, Arul? You see, you said something quite important. Yeah, you said if a person tells eight truths and 2 lies, you, according to your standard of the Bible,